每年喺美國舉辦嘅 CEDIA 智能家居與視聽電子展覽會咧，係世界規模最大、最專業嘅智能家居及視聽系統展會之一嚟嘅。而未來家居影音科技有啲咩最新發展咧？我哋就好開心可以邀請到 CEDIA 技術委員會主席 Peter 同我哋分享一下。
4K is really good and really interesting, but in the real world, you have to be close enough to the display device for 4K to be worth it. Once you're a certain way back from the display device, our eyes don't have enough visual acuity to be able to see all the individual pixels. So 4K is only really useful when we're close enough to the display. HDR, which stands for High Dynamic Range, I'll come back to that in a second, is useful for every display. Doesn't matter how big the display or where you're sitting, HDR is fantastic. And the reason HDR is brilliant is our eyes have a large dynamic range. In the same scene, we can see really bright things, and we can see things in the shadows. We can see shadow detail. And we call the dark things shadow detail, and we call the bright things highlight detail. I'll give you an example. If you're watching, let's say, a Batman movie, there's lots of scenes in Batman that are filmed in dark alleyways. And if your TV isn't very well set up, the dark bits just look like a block of black. If your TV is well set up, you'll see a little bit of detail in the dark areas. With HDR, you'll see a lot more detail in those shadow areas. On the other extreme, you know, probably not particularly popular in Hong Kong, but if you watch skiing, where it's all snow, everything is very white. And if your TV is set up wrong, the white will just be a block of white. If your TV is set up correctly, you'll see some detail in the snow. With HDR, you'll see a lot of detail in the snow. So HDR gives you detail in the shadows and detail in the highlights. So the dark bits are really dark, and the bright bits are really bright. So if this is standard dynamic range, and this is what our eyes can do, HDR is sort of halfway in the middle. But what that means is that to fill in that greater information, we need more information in the picture.